Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is where you are located. Thanks for joining. As this fires up at the 8 o'clock hour, Central Time U.S. Yeah, 5x5. Aaron, good to see you, man. Morning. Thanks for the support, buddy. All right. What do we got here? Shanbot, Nelson, Wayne, Flint, Blake, Todd, Fraser, Matt. Mentioned Aaron, Blake, again. Tyler, good to see you, Tyler Harrigan. Good to see everybody. Thanks for joining this morning. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Good to see everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's doing well. I wonder if this will be the video where I learned to RPG. Wow. Probably not. Lower the expectations, Flint. Is that why you're here? You got the wrong streamer, YouTuber. Hey, Gabe, good. Good. Orcus Dorcas, morning, buddy. Good to see ya. Laramie, morning or evening, kind of to your clock of the day, if you will. The link in the Discord says 09, not 08. Interesting. I wonder if the daylight savings time has not. Why would that be 9 though? It should say. Well, maybe that's why. I don't know. I'll have to fix that, I guess. Discord does not account for daylight savings time, even if you set the time zone correctly at the server. That is odd. Morning, Joe. All right, so I think we've done favorite D&D monster, favorite D&D spell, favorite D&D module, favorite D&D book, resource. I think we were going to talk. I don't know what we planned on today. Anybody take the notes? Who took notes last session? Where's Kevin Keneally when I need him? Sean's shirt looks like what we'd see if we put on the glasses from They Live. Maybe. Best fake spells? Are there fake spells? Yes. Thanks, Blake. We gotta wait till everybody joins and finds their seats. I think there's still some people that are probably gonna show up. All spells are fake. I don't know what world you're living in, Todd, but they are all real in mine. Yeah, go ahead, change it, Laramie. Absolutely. If you have the ability. I was thinking maybe like favorite weapon. Like, what weapon do you always pick? Tad, good to see ya. I do drink too much vanilla Coke. Any vanilla Coke is too much. But, things could be worse, right? I could be hooked on other things that are worse in life. My session notes say potato and moss, witch, and also a small grocery list. That's why I'm not the note taker. Okay, thanks. Well, that's good. No, Orcus Dorcas, no bueno. I gotta move up my chat for a second. There we go. That's much better. Get the eyes up here. Could be hooked on cherry Coke. Oof, that's stuff. Oof. Should be like favorite weapon, favorite D&D weapon for the question du jour. I think we've done class. Have we done class? Should we do class and race combo? Why don't we do class, race combo? Class, race, weapon. How about that? D&D. Happy birthday, D's and D's. Happy 50th this year. Favorite D&D race, class, weapon. Orcus, Orcus Dorcas, hot out of the stall. We have no class. Well, I don't know about that. Let's not speak on everybody's behalf here, Orcus. Favorite D's and D's. Race, class, weapon. It's kind of like the quick gen character, if you will. It sounds like, right? Could be from any edition, so it could be race's class, right? Hey-o. Harrigan, human fighter, armed with Blake, 2E half elf magic mage cleric, aka spell artillery. You could still carry a weapon though, right? Wayne, phew, I was really struggling to choose between Bec de Corbin or Fouchard Fork. Tyler says, fave to play, Gnome Barbarian with hand axes. Very good. Gnome Barbarian. Always fun, right? Matt, human cleric with warhammer. Yeah, that's good money there. I think I used to, in AD&D, I always picked Hammer of Lucerne. Is that what it is? Lucerne Hammer? I think it had the most damage that you could get out of a weapon. Right? That didn't have a minimum strength requirement, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I think two-handed sword was more, but I think you needed a minimum strength, right? Help me out, AD&Ders. Todd says, for race/species, 2nd edition tieflings, when using the optional D100 appearance chart from Planescape, every tiefling has a unique feature and sometimes different special abilities. Matt says, I'm just a simple man. Joe, 2E. 2E representing today. 2E halfling thief. I should have probably said edition. Class, race, a class, species, race, weapon. That's all right. We're good. Joe says 2E halfling thief with either a dagger or hoopek. Oh, dodges the Kender haters. Laramie, 2E Dwarven Mage. Not possible. Is it, though? It's not possible? Not by the rules. That's all right. I will allow it, Laramie. I am your DM. I allow it. I'll house rule it. There, bam, boom. Done. Fraser, Human Ranger with longbow. Standard. Just missing some merry peeps, indeed. Went Ranger. So you going Ranger melee or Ranger ranged? Ranger ranged, says Fraser. Shooting from afar. Bing, bing, ping. Laramie. So spells like knock, kick door, sleep, knock out opponent, fly, throw PC. Harrigan says two-handed sword was the king. Yeah, but I think the hammer didn't require a minimum strength, right? I think that was the beef. Or actually, I think this is why I never chose the two-handed sword if I was and I think it was specifically cleric, maybe. It's because I think the cleric could pick, it was a Hammer of Lucerne, edged, because if they couldn't pick an edged weapon, they couldn't pick a sword. So the two-handed sword was out of the question. So I think that may be the little caveat. Oh, who knows? But yes, I agree. The two-handed sword was the monster. But I thought the Hammer of Lucerne maybe 1d12 at small to mid. Like, this is crazy, right? Orcus Dorcas Halfling Monk with my fists are a registered weapon, so that counts. Indeed it does. Absolutely. Wayne says, if I'm in a contrary mood, well, I guess, human paladin or gnome illusionist. I don't think those are contrary. Those are pretty standard. I bet it was cheaper, Harrigan said. That's probably true too. I might not have been able to afford that two-handed sword. Todd says absolute best combos I've had with was a 2E tiefling druid thief with a bastard sword. Could use one or two-handed for different damages. Nelson, human thief. So we at least know it's 2E, right? Or prior. Human thief with a garrote for the horrible sneak attack. I know humans are boring, but I prefer to find the weird when exploring it, not in the party. Ooh. There's some other folks that share that, I believe. I think Lucerne Hammer is a polearm. I believe it is as well. Yes, sir. So it gets by the cleric edged weapon restriction, right? Flint, Fireforge, Goliath, Barbarian. Because when human or because when half orc isn't enough. Yeah. Bringing on the damage. What strength can you get from a Goliath barbarian? So Goliath species race is lost on me. I never played them. I would totally restrict my D&D game. No bueno. But having said that, I am interested, like the build of a Goliath barbarian. What are you looking at? Like a 20 strength right off the bat, first level. So what's that? A +6 to hit, or +6 adjustment. Caverna, good to see you. Morning. Shambot version 42, not to be confused with 41 or 43. 2E half elf bard with a rapier, or is it rapier? Hey, if I can't speak English correctly, I might as well not speak French correctly. Laramie says, my all-time favorite weapon is due to versatility. Sling. There's always ammo, and you can throw non-rocks when you need to. Fraser, first, where 1E fave was a half-elf bard, back when you had to do fighter, and then I think cleric, and then thief to become a bard, I think is what he said, because bard is right next, D is right next to S on the keyboard to become bard. Yeah. Yeah, there was some weird rules with bard, right? Like you had to meet some pretty weird restrictions. Flint says, go big or go home, 20 strength +5. Booyah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there, hey. Yeah, for sure, eh? Lucerne hammer isn't edge exactly like many other long hammers. It had a spike on one side. It was a pick-like. Yeah, that's right. Shows the hypocrisy of clerics. Hey, well, you know. I mean, it is the church, right? I mean, come on. Do as they say, not as they do. I think mine would be C. I would probably go. Jeff isn't here. Maybe he'll show up. I don't know. His is always fighter, magic user, thief, multi-class, half elf with a long sword, right? Standard, like all day. First edition. Multi-class. I would probably go. Halfling Thief is always a good one for me. I always liked Halfling Thief with a short sword, of course. It's kind of my go-to if I played thief characters. Yeah, where's the crazy 3-5 multi-class fans? Yeah, no kidding, right? Arcane Trickster, Aerophant, Thaumaturgy. Yeah. Morning, William. Good to see you. Always enjoyed a good gnome illusionist thief. Yeah. Gnome illusionist, always good fun. Funny how some of them are just so standard and so iconic. Gnome illusionist, halfling thief, human paladin. I think you had to be a human, right, to be paladin? No, that's not true. You could be an elven paladin, right, in 1E. What else? Pretty standard stuff. Elf mage, maybe. Elf wizard. Blake says, played a gnome cleric thief and dungeon hack. Super versatile. Indeed. Yeah, it's not the most exciting question in the world by any means, because, halfling, thief, short sword. Pretty standard. Wizard, staff. Human wizard, staff. I wonder if for like 3rd edition, I don't think 3rd edition was as bad. Is not the same. Where 5th edition has many, many, many more playable races, species. 4th, not so much. I really think 5th really, made a lot of them playable. I wonder if that's because some of the archetypal characters from like what we used to play, or what is pretty standard in 1st edition AD&D, is just kind of boring for some, right? Orcus Dorcas 1E Paladin was human only, I believe, but I can't be asked to go get the book, and I'm actually it. Best character I ever played was a human fighter. Previous characters died like it was a trend, so I just asked for a basic fighter with 18 strength. Ended up with a super cool backstory. 3.5 was bad. Tons of splat books for races and classes. Most had power creep. Oh, okay. Excuse me. It's been a while. Sometimes keeping it simple does the trick. Well, I think I've gotten to that point, right? Like some of us have, where it's like, all of the stuff, right? I can't speak for. I wish Jeff were here. He has opinions. Let me tell you, but there is something to be said about just, standard, like all human. Some folks are like, look, all human, all day, no demi-human. Races, species, no, like that's it. There'll may be some in the world, but the party is human. Done. Say Jeff's name 3 times while looking in a bathroom mirror, and he might actually show up. Yeah, that's too funny. But yeah, something simple about it, for sure. And I think there is, I don't know. I ran Curse of Strahd for a party, and one of the folks wanted to, I think I've shared this story, they wanted to play a lizard man, as a party member in and then you're in Barovia. So how does that all translate, right? And the first thing that came to my mind was no. But it's important for us game masters. It's quick to shoot from the hip, say no. Like, no, you get out of here with that, right? And that's your prerogative if it's your game and your group and your players. But I also think it's important to wonder why. Why do you want to play that race just out of curiosity? And if they say, and then understanding what that is. Because with this case, like sometimes folks are, well, because I get these bonuses, it's part of the build, and I'm optimizing, right? And in some games, some would say that's what the game is. That's what you're supposed to do. That's the design of the game. That's the mantra of the game. Mantra, not really, but that's the game's design facilitates that. Some may argue differently, but I just think that's the deal, right? If you look at the Ivory Tower or Monty Cook's blog article back in the day, you'd say that's exactly how 3-0 was designed, and then you got fourth and fifth that follow. Where am I going? Oh, so if that's the game that you're trying to facilitate, great. Some of us are like, no, it's not. Killing monsters, taking their stuff, and optimizing your character is not the type of game that you want to play in. And if their reason is something like that makes sense to you, that's other than, I want a +6 strength and a +2 dex, and all my abilities are going to be 15 or higher, with some creeping up on 19. Then it's a different conversation. Then it's like a different, right? Because it's not the species. It's, I want these bonuses. Just speaking out loud. Not sure what the question is, but a three Kreen Gladiator and Dark Sun was a great combo. So, Caverna, the question is, like D&D, so sticking with the D&D theme for this year for the 50th birthday, what's your kind of go-to class, race, weapon combo? That's what everybody's kind of putting out there. Oh, hey, Prenzlau, good to see you. Whoa, and then my chat flew up. Prenzlau says, Joe is always a good Lizardman PC. Well, it wasn't Joe in this case. Joe, I don't think he sticks to kind of standard stuff. He used to be high on the gnome for a while. God, my chat keeps moving on me. Orcus Dorcas' high level 3-5 was awesome for those who love spreadsheets. Indeed. Sweefer, good morning. Good to see you. So the question of the day is D&D, doesn't matter what edition. So it's kind of a trick question because if you go back far enough, race is class, right? But nonetheless, favorite kind of race, class, weapon combo, kind of a go-to. Harrigan closing out the Lucerne hammer. 2 to 8. What? Is it really? No. You know what? I wonder. There is a hammer that's 1 to 12, and I don't remember. Maybe it's not the Lucerne hammer. Are you sure? Maybe I got it wrong, probably. But it was the best cleric weapon. Sean has now revealed he solely played clerics. No. No. I did play my fair share of clerics, but there is a hammer. Now it's going to drive me nuts. I got to go get the PHB and look. Prenzlau may remember. I don't know if he remembers. He's my DM back in the day. I always thought role-playing was an expansion of creativity. Why do people always try to limit a game creatively for the sake of continuity? Why indeed? Whoops. God, again, it skips around. I need to pause my chat to that's what I'm going to do. Pause. And then I won't unpause it and I won't see the new messages. What players want, Todd says, what players want to do with their characters should be an important part of session 0. Yes. It tells the GM what kind of action scenes they want to engage in and shine. I will argue this, though, Todd. I'm going to play a little devil's advocate, right? So, Todd, I think I brought it up on Gaming and BS, but granted, that seems so long ago, where we were talking about opting in, right? Here's my game. The game master comes, pitches it to a group or posts it somewhere and says, here's my game. This is what it's about. Here's the emphasis. This is the style. This is, the mechanics and some of the nuances, right? Who's in? And the players opt into that. Now, assuming it's a post in a text, it's not fully probably realized what the game is truly about till you sit at the table in session 0 or pre-session 0 to tell you here's kind of the situation. If you are opposed to playing just standard vanilla humans and here with these limited kind of things, then this is not the game for you, right? So I think that is a big, it can't always happen this way because some of us play with our friends and it's I'm not going to go out and find a group from scratch, which is totally understandable. But going back to the opting into a game, there is a pretty basic foundation that's, I think, typically in place. Because you could just simply, it's like saying, hey, and it's going to be run on Mondays. I cannot play on Mondays, therefore I can't opt into this game. Or the question is there any flexibility with day of the week that it's going to be run? Maybe, I guess, yes, depending on the rest of the players, but if the game master, unfortunately, the game master drives a lot of this stuff, right? So going back to my point is that if the players come and say, this is what I want to do with my player, or this is what I want to do in this game, and this is how I like to play, and these are the characters I like to play, and it's like, Mystic Thurge, Barbarian, Dragonborn, Goliath, Tiefling, and you're like, time out as a game master. And then you say, okay, that sounds great, but you don't want that in your game, but you acquiesce. It's just not going to be a good scene down the road, because what the players want and what the game master wants, it's going to be on two different pages. You're going to get people posting on Reddit and blogs and Twitter about how the game master doesn't allow them to do stuff, and then the game master's going to be on there and say, oh, I got this player who's just Leroy Jenkins every combat. Is just going to be a mess. So while session 0 is good to flesh it completely out, wholly agree. You got to kind of have that nowadays. It's dude. I think for the sake of some game groups, you got to just say no. Not yes, and like in the game maybe, but you got to make sure you're all playing the same game, even aside from rules and like the rules in the actual game. Like, yes, we're playing D&D, but are we playing the same D&D? That's all I gotta say. That's all I have to say about that. And Shaw did this to optimize damage with clerics. Yeah. Of course, yes. Yes, Gabe. No. Senator, yes, that's correct. Hey, man, I think we did quite a bit of like that when we were starting out for sure. Arrogant, not in AD&D, buddy. Oh, I'm going to, I know where it is. I know exactly where it is in the player's handbook. I got to check. I got to unpause this here. Then everything loads. So we only talk about D&D in this channel. What happened with the Sean Free League fanboy? That hasn't gone anywhere. But hey, don't forget where you come from. At least in my case, right? Christopher Moore, good to see you. Good morning. Wasn't the bigger axe 1 to 12? Dog. I gotta know what this weapon is. All right, here we are. Arms. Here we go. Got the table in front of me. Hammer, lucerne, 2d8, 1 to 6. Yep, no question. God, where was the sword two-handed? Yep. I thought it could be halberd, actually. Maybe I got it confused with the halberd. But you're right, Harrigan. Harrigan is right. The two-handed sword is definitely the beast. But halberd is not too far off. The only difference is that the two-handed sword does more damage against large-sized monsters. So maybe was it the halberd that you could use as a cleric? I think you can. God, I could have swore it was the Hammer of Lucerne, actually. I don't know why. There you go. So the halberd is 1 to 10, 2d12. Man, I could have swore. Well, there you go. That's what years. That's what time does to you. Let's see. Talk about our pets. There you go. Laramie's right spot on. I skipped the pet discussion. Hopefully that person comes back and realizes it and says, finally, this guy's on track. Harrigan, not in 1E. It mentions to Christopher. 1d8 for the battle axe. Yeah. Top damage versus normal size components was 1 to 10 from 2 weapons, 2-handed sword, and halberd. Yeah, there you go. See, if I would just read up to date and didn't pause. All right. Orcus Dorcas. Well, when Free League has its 50th in 2061, Sean will give them the same treatment for that year. Indeed. Yeah. All right. Predslaw says maybe game masters and professional script writers have much more in common as far as expectations and visions. Yeah. Maybe. I guess it depends on the game master. There's some that definitely write scripts. Fraser, restrictions in class and characters are much more specific to robust systems like D&D. Yeah, for sure. Session 0 has a kind of a different vibe and purpose in simpler games. Yeah. Well, one thing that we always had a problem with was, what was it? Ben Milton. Ben Milton just did a video. Last one, 2 ago, 3 ago, I don't know. It's been in the last couple months, where he said that, and I don't know if it was Luca's blog article video. So Luka Rajic, I can't get the pronunciation of his last name, but Luca's designed games and been in the industry, if you will. And he did a blog article. I think it was Luca's. I think it was his blog article. But Ben referenced that and used it as inspiration for a video that he talked about. And the specific kind of topic du jour was every game of D&D is different. And probably more so back in the day. It was hard, organized play wasn't around. So it was very much how do you handle this? How do you handle that? What are your house rules? And so with going to Fraser's point, the restrictions, class, and characters are much more specific in robust systems like D&D, and then Session 0. It's funny because I think there's some people in the hobby, it might be you, I don't know, but some people like Session 0. Oh, that's dumb. Just play. You don't need a Session 0. And it's like, believe it or not, you've been doing Session 0 since the dawn of RPGs, in my humble opinion. And that's like, when are you going to play? How long are you going to play? What game are you going to play? Is there any specific rules that I need to know in like my character build or the world or yada, yada, yada? Like, that's all Session 0. Whether you sat down all together or you called your friend on the phone and, hung up the phone, called your next friend to explain it, or you were walking down the sidewalk with your buddy and then you explain it, and then, hey, I got to talk to Jeff and explain it to him. Like, all that is part of it. So it just kills me. Some of these folks are like, oh, Sessions are all so dumb. You don't even need like safety tools and X card. Like, there's more to it than that. Christopher Moore. I started in the Cavalier cover, Player's Handbook 2nd edition revised, but I'm starting to remember the old original version, the 1d10. The Cavalier, yeah, Unearthed Arcana, right? Or, well, actually, Sean, it came out in our Dragon magazine, and then they implemented it in Unearthed Arcana when it was like published. He still has 1E. Yeah, man, I still have 1E. I gave up 2E. I sold 2E. The 2E book I sold to one of Brett's players at one point. When I went up to EverCon, he had the book with my name in it, and I forgot I sold it to him. So yeah, I still got 1E. I still have 1E, the PHB, DMG, Unearthed Arcana. I don't know if I have a monster manual. Somewhere in my monster manual got lost. I think I might have the Fiend Folio still. I think that's about it. I don't think I've ever owned Deities and Demigods. Switch to Smug Cam, indeed. Yeah, Halberd was the bomb. Todd, I just know for me, player requests are like suggestions from the audience in improv. You don't say no, but you also don't just take it as is. It's not yes and, rather it's no but. Yeah. Smug Cam denied, indeed. Yes. These are hilarious. Todd says, hell, I've designed an entire game around taking any and all player ideas. That's how High Plains Samurai came to be. Right, Fraser? Those Canadian. It's the Canadian group up there collaborating. They're all plotting games for us Americans. Or for the world, I should say. I do know something about pet throw up. I don't think that's a good thing. Fraser said, Todd, guilty and happy. So did Fraser play a direct impact in that? Sadly, I'm missing next week. I'm going to GaryCon for the first time. It's your first go over there, Laramie? I'm going to try to get down there for a day. I don't know. My wife's a little worried because every time I go somewhere, I get sick. So coming home and then, of course, inevitably, I pass it along to her. So we'll see. I'm going to try to get down there Saturday, maybe for a day thing. Problem is with going down for a day is if everybody's playing, like I probably won't see many people. Well, that's like the bell rings, right, between slots. And I catch them going to their next game. All right, now everybody can like the video or dislike. I think this is going to be, I think we're at maximum capacity for the stream. So if you like, subscribe, maybe not. Sean doesn't know 1E, thumbs down, that's fine. Christopher Moore, yeah, they were all different. My first game, the guy just used a D10 on a table and didn't use any of the rules from the advanced second edition books. Really confused me once I bought them. All right. Prenzlau says, as a GM, I always try to cater to my players so that they would enjoy the adventure. Otherwise, what is the point of playing a contentious game? Well, one person would argue, not to like specifically you, but there would be some people that would say if you're running a published, not to be mistaken for pre-published, if you're running a published adventure, then you're not giving your characters enough agency. I don't think that's completely accurate, but Sean needs an actually cam. I could provision one to be the actually cam. The anti-safety tool crowd can. I should probably screen these. Can piss up a tree. My last campaign, I randomly rolled a magic chainmail bikini. Hey peeps, are we okay with this? Emphasis on the female players. What table has that? I'm interested. I'm not interested, actually. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. And this group has been playing for over 2 decades, and questions like this still deserve to be asked. Everyone needs to see the good, the bad, the weird. South Korean Western set in 1930s Manchuria. Fraser was half the reason we threw so many ideas on the wall, and they stuck. Gunslingers, barbarians, samurai, gangsters, and steampunk with superpowers. Yeah. So you got credits in that game? I have to look it up. I always like to look at the play testers, see if I recognize anybody. Larry says, yeah, man, I was put off on cons by whatever organized play was in the 90s. Not my jam. You and Sean and Knights of the Dinner Table got me to go to Gamehole right when I had kids. Oh, interesting. Well, I'm sure you're going to have a blast, Laramie. It's a good convention. Are you staying at the lodge? That's me. I'm picky. I don't want to walk anywhere, especially outside. Hold me up in the lodge. No rooms at the lodge. It's going to be, I wonder how big it is now. Like how crazy amount of people. Because I think they're at max, if I'm not mistaken. Jesse, good to see you, man. How are you? I feel like the older we get, the more topics become off the table because of tragedy. Is that just our group? Well, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think like if you're 13, the world's different for sure. I don't know if age plays a role with tragedy necessarily. I think young folks can certainly experience that. Maybe it's how they handle it. I don't know. High Plains Samurai was dedicated to Fraser, and yeah, there's a few BSers in the credits. Oh, very cool. Todd says that Jesse, that's a good take. Something to think about. Maybe. Well, thanks for the banter. Should we get into some more stuff? See what's going on in the hobby. Shall we? Yeah, let's do that. All right, kids. Put your whatever away now. I could have been a teacher. No. All right. Whoops. Let's do this. All right. Wizards of the Coast announces Dungeons & Dragons 50th Anniversary Play Series. I bring this up because I want this module, and I don't know if it's going to be given out for free. So new in-store events feature a retro tournament mode. They announced 50th Anniversary Play Series events, which run as in-store play throughout 2024. I have to give my buddy Doc a call. I don't know if he's still running in the stores. I'm not sure. I think he gave it up, but it was created to help retailers bring players into the stores to celebrate 50 years of D&D. First series events will be running, gives dates, can be run through these dates, and will feature Descent into the Lost Caverns of Shoskanth. So if you remember that module, I believe it's the one with the woman lying on the sarcophagus with the sword and then the big lantern above her, which I think is an artifact. Spoilers. So I'm interested. I would like that adventure just to see what it's about. The adventure, which plays in about 4 hours, will offer 2 different gameplay modes: a standard mode, casual play, and a tournament mode, competitive play. Tournament mode is a throwback to the old D&D convention tournaments that revolved around the DM using a scoring checklist to track what the group did throughout the game session. These events can be booked by retailers through their event link accounts. So yeah, tournaments, interesting, right? Like old RPGA, like that's kind of why it was set up. I think the Slavers was a tournament adventure, actually, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, there you go. I'm interested. I am interested in that adventure. Let's see. Next one. I'm interested to hear you guys' take on this. So this is from. Oh, let me back up. I'm a little off. Let me get back in sync here. There's the link to the article about the Wizards. Another Wizards article. They've teamed up with Start Playing. So if you don't know what Start Playing is, it's a site where you can, essentially become a professional dungeon master or a game master. You go on there, set up a profile, offer games, offer a cost for each game, if that's what you want to do. And then if you're a player and looking for a game and you want to pay to play, there's tons of games there. One of the arguments that has been out there for D&D 5th edition is that there isn't enough dungeon masters out there. So I'm not sure what the deal of this thing is, but apparently, they announced the partnership. Maybe this is the article. Yeah. So here's it's on D&D Beyond. So I'll link to the source. You're welcome. So one of the biggest hurdles it starts out in playing D&D is finding other adventures to roll dice with. So this year we're partnering up with Start Playing to make it easier than ever to join others at the table, and we're kicking off this partnership with the free release of the one-shot adventure Descent in the Lost Caverns of Soshkant, which means there's a link here, which I might be able to just download it from here when it's released. I don't know. Anyways, below you'll get a closer look at Start Playing as well as the free adventure you can claim and play starting March 26th. And one of the links just goes to the other one. So I'm trying to find the link to the adventure I can just grab. So it's a game finder. It's the largest platform for finding tabletop role-playing games run by professional dungeon masters to help us celebrate. That's a whole topic, like, apparently, or a topic of discussion. Like, there's some people that get super, like, get very they have very strong opinions about professional game mastering. I don't know. The hobby is not short of opinions, right? So how to get started on Start Playing, jump into play with Descent, early play at GaryCon and PAX East. So more to come. So there you go. Oh, wait a minute. Flint says, I'm on Start Playing. You have to register and then you are chosen to run it. Oh, to run this or just a game in general? Oh, and he continues. And by chosen, I mean you have to meet certain conditions like about of reviews. Oh, okay. It's probably specific to this whole D&D thing, I'm guessing. Yeah, don't like professional game masters? Don't use them. Yeah, it's so easy for you to say, Laramie. Anyways, I thought that was interesting. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? If you're the biggest, if you're a game publisher and you want, I mean, oh, I got you. Number of reviews on Start Playing. This is what Flint's saying. So in order to kind of get chosen to run this, well, and that makes sense, right? You want a certain caliber of game master to represent. If you are D&D and you want more players to get in the hobby, but the problem for those players is they can't find a game, they don't have a dungeon master, they don't know how, and they never have played, but they want to. How do you bridge that gap? So I go, hey, you guys run games. We would like to promote your platform and move people that want to get into D&D, and then they will buy more D&D and they will love D&D. That makes sense. So the synergy is there, obviously. You also, as D&D, don't want those players to play with a knobhead dungeon master. And then you get, like some of us have experienced in the past when we first started. Like there's some people that have played. They played once. Dungeon master was terrible. They never played a role-playing game since. Some said, that's probably that person. I'll give it another go. And it works out just fine. But, yeah. Comes the can of worms. Shambots. Using a professional GM can sometimes means you get to shop around for your ideal GM instead of going with whoever's local. Yeah. Opt in. Offended knobhead here. Choosing your GM is just as important as choosing your players, for sure. Just like job interviews are also about meeting your potential future employer and seeing if you want the job. Orca says, I have zero issue with paid GMs. All right. Move it on. I just thought it was interesting that Wizard has teamed up with them, and what does that mean, right? For some of us, doesn't mean like it's a big deal. Others, not as like that. No. It's the rates that I see that I question. You know, there's part of me that wants to put a game up there for like $100 per session. See what happens. I don't know. The market will adjust. All right, over at EN World. I think I put that last thing in there. Studio to release the long-awaited new edition of Blackmoor. The first fantasy campaign setting ever. So Blackmoor, Dave Arneson. So the studio is Inkbat. Studio Inkbat announced today that it will release the final tabletop role-playing game sourcebook directly overseen by the late Dave Arneson, co-creator of D&D and the creator of Blackmoor, the fantasy setting in which the game was first incubated. Entitled Blackmoor, Age of the Wolf, the book is a fiction of ideas taking the classic setting's timeline and sending it centuries into the future. Ooh. There's opinions about doing that, I imagine. So the announcement was made by Denise Robinson, art director for Studio Inkbat. I had the chance to meet Dave Arneson, said Robinson, and as so many others did, I liked him immediately. When the opportunity arose to help release the RPG project created by Dave's own team, I know we had to jump on it. What year is it? Is this 1980? The content is fantastic, too. If you aren't a Blackmoor fan yet, Age of the Wolf is sure to make you a believer out of it. 15-year wait. Oh, interesting. Well, so there you go. I don't know. Who owns Dave's stuff, I wonder? Like, who oversees that? Interesting. Anyways, so there you go. There you go. Hackflation. Yikes. I live in California, so I would totally run a game for a full tank of gas. That's big bucks out there, huh? All right. Let's see. Daggerheart. Look out. Anybody look at the playtest yet? I watched the video with Mr. Mercer and Spencer, who also did Alice is Missing. So I like Spencer's work in that. Interesting dynamics in the old Daggerheart. Also, if you are not plugged into the social medias, the kerfuffle is like how it's stealing a bunch of stuff from other games, like mechanics and things of that nature, and then maybe not crediting the game or something along those lines. Some people are like, it's nice if they say, hey, inspired by Forged in the Dark or, PBTA, whatever, or the Apocalypse World. But, it's... But the RPG hobby and social media, we some of us we should find bigger fish to fry, is all I'm saying. And it's just, so you might have opinions on this. But anyways, it's an interesting game. D12s, right? Roll D12s, whatever rolls highest. Hope and faith? Representing one die and the other. And so if you succeed with your hope die, then there you go. And then there's a mechanic that's tied to one. So if you succeed with one, you get a point in that. And if you succeed in the other, you get a point point in this or something like that. Hope and despair. Thank you, Tyler. Hope and despair. It'll be interesting. I do have it. I haven't read it. But I watched some of the video, kind of listening to the bits and bobs as it's explained. Anybody stoked about this? Anybody like, oh, I'm getting it to the table and I'm going to play test it? Blake says Daggerheart sounds like a Mills and Boone trilogy. Flint says uninterested. Jesse says only looked at reviews, lots of negative responses. Really? But it's still early, he says. Critical Role have a history of not crediting others, though. I've looked through it. Seems interesting. Not a D&D killer in my opinion, but only in beta, so we'll see. I don't know if it'll be a D&D killer necessarily. There was another video somebody put out like, hey, can MCDM and Darrington Press, which is Critical Role's publishing arm that is putting out Daggerheart, can it dethrone D&D? And that's a high mountain. But Critical Role, man, I don't know. That's a lot. That is a lot. If MCDM Publishing or Darrington Press even get close, they are going to make so much money. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Morning, Roger. Good to see you, man. Shambot says, I'll give it a look like I try to do with anything that draws the interest of my players or fellow GMs. I'll read it through and maybe give it a try. Tad says, I'm sure the Kickstarter will fund, but will the game last? Will the game last, Blake? What do you think they don't go anywhere. People may put them on the shelf never to be played again is probably what you're referring to, I'm guessing. Jesse said I backed MCDM. Wasn't stoked about all the mechanics, but want to throw my money at indie. All right. Sounds good. Ask Paizo how close they got. Yeah, I don't know. Flint, did you see Chris Sims talk about that? Chris Sims, who was working at D&D at the time, was like, Paizo never overtook D&D. But we'll never know because all their numbers are private. There's only speculation through ICV2, where they were like asking distributors how many copies of what was being sold and moved. Reading it, good to see you, morning. Orcus Dorcas says it'll sell without question, but will it be played past the hype like Avatar? I think that's what probably Blake is referring to. Downloading the playtest demo now. Yeah. I have a huge blind spot for Critical Role. Is it as popular as it used to be? Currently, I don't know. There were, I think, the #1 stream on all of Twitch due to a breach. Or that news came out in a breach. Like they got all the numbers of all the money, I think that was being generated. And I think Critical Role was #1 with like something like 9 million a year. It's not Mr. Beast numbers, but Mr. Beast also doesn't stream. I don't know. I think if we looked at Critical Role and said, like with Glass Cannon Network, like those guys aren't slouches either, right? But if you look at like the subscribers they have on Twitch, the subscribers they have on YouTube, whatever else they sell, their staff, the animated series that they have on Amazon that they Kickstarter that was like what $7 million Kickstarter crowdfunding, like they've got 7 million. It's not 2 million. It's like 7 million, right? Help me out if I'm wrong. Vernon says roll 2d12 plus mod against the DC. If the hope is bigger, you get hope points. If fear is higher, GM gets fear points. They are meta currency. They are. You're right. Thank you, Caverna. I appreciate it for clarifying that. Paizo was doing Dungeon and Dragon magazines, which still helped WotC ultimately. Well, I think there's a whole chicken and egg there, probably, with that, Blake. Reading a Critical Role brought me to the hobby, by the way. Interesting. Okay, good to know. Wow, that's awesome. See, like, there, this way. Interesting. So, Reading Aid, did you imagine you found Critical Role on Twitch? I have to imagine, right? A stream, you became a fan, and then you decided to, like, what's this all about? Is that kind of, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm always interested to know how people find their way into the hobby. Because it's not all like people, like, not everybody in the hobby grew up in the 80s. and things have changed. They don't have to, like, rely on just their home group or some weird nerd in their middle school or high school. Tyler says, let's wait 1 year and see how many of these games are scheduled at major cons. That will tell popularity. Ryan West, Critical Role had $11 million Kickstarter for the animated. See, I was off. Sorry, you're right. Fact check. Thanks, Ryan. $11 million Kickstarter. Yep, through Twitch. Then I played D&D a couple times. Didn't like it and started playing Call of Cthulhu and Delta Green. Yes. Now, interesting, Reading Aid. So in short, your gateway. Hey man, first one's free. Your gateway was D&D, although it didn't work out. Right? Is that fair? The first role-playing game that you played was still D&D. The reason I ask is there's always been an argument, not always, but many people are like the what is it? The success of the hobby is dependent upon D&D. And I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore. But at one point in time, there was like, if D&D fails, it just trickles down and nobody's going to get any, it could be disastrous, right? They won't find Todd's games, Fraser's games, if they don't have an entry point, is the argument, right? Whether that is true or not. So as D&D prospers, so does the industry. That's how I found you all. Look at that testimonial. I need D&D to succeed, otherwise they're never going to find me. It's the gateway drug for sure. Okay, there you go. See? I don't think that's for everybody. I know there's plenty. I mean, even old grognards, some of them did not like start with D&D. I think even John Harper. Well, John Harper's not a grognard necessarily, but I think like Vincent Baker. Like, I don't think he started with D&D. I think he started with Shadowrun. Whoops. Blake says, not into D&D, MCDM, Daggerheart. Super interested in Dragonbane, supporting community. Great game. YouTube, games, clips. Gabe says, perhaps D&D didn't work out for Reading Aid, but he's down for Swords and Wizardry at Gamehole. We'll see. Ah. A lot of creative industries have their flagship. For TTRPGs, it's D&D. And Reading Aid confirms. It's gonna be in Gabe's Swords and Wizardry. Nice. Well, Gabe is a good steward, if you will. All right, let's get on. Moving on. Owen KC Stevens' Rad Bundle. So Owen KC Stevens has had his hands in the RPG hobby for a long time as a freelancer. He's worked for some shops, and if you've played a few different RPGs, there is the likelihood that you've crossed paths with some of his work, potentially. So he's going through some tough times, diagnosed with cancer, lots of treatments, and so there is this bundle that is out there that you could give. You could certainly go to his GoFundMe and just, chip in directly. But there's also this bundle that is trying to help him out as well. Games from, Evil Robot, Fat Goblin. There's quite a few here. Schwab is partaking. Rogue Genius Games, right? The makers of the Heroes, the Everyday Heroes, and a few others. So check that out. Just wanted to give a shout out. Maybe shed some light on what's going on with Owen. All right. Oh, and I'll put a link to the GoFundMe. And he kind of explains some of the situation he's been, which is really unfortunate. So we wish all the best to Owen and the fam there. All right, next, Free League. I mean, come on, can't. It's like a college team, and being a record here. Like I have to every week I have to maintain my winning record in talking about Free League Publishing. Anyways, the new case file for Blade Runner, case file number 2, Fiery Angels, coming April 2nd. So yeah, no Kickstarter, just you want to pre-order it, you can now, and then you can get it when it comes out. So, and I think when you order the pre-order, you get it right away, if I'm not mistaken. The pre-order is live in the Free League web shop and gives immediate access to the adventure as a PDF ahead of the release. Free League. Not always, but right? There you go. Tells you a little bit about it. So there's that, yeah. And then I will also throw out a link directly to where you can order it on their web shop. Boom. It's the box set. It says includes beautifully illustrated and detailed scenario book with locations, characters, events, and leads to follow. 11 handouts, including a variety of in-world artifacts and Esper photos. So Esper is kind of like the main database, main computer you can use at headquarters. And so when you use it, you can zone in on images and surveillance footage and all that stuff. So what they're talking about is in-world artifacts, which you might find probably at the crime scene, and then the Esper photos are probably handouts that are taken and, in the surveillance side of things that are given to players as clues. 7 full color maps, a custom manila envelope for the players to keep their evidence safe in, and 14 high-quality custom cards for NPCs. So very similar to the starter set, except it probably doesn't have the rules that the starter set has. But otherwise, it doesn't have dice, but it has all the scenario stuff. If you like box sets and Blade Runner, this is a good one. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, Free League really throw down on those box sets. Yeah. Which is surprising because some would say it was the demise of TSR. TSR. Speaking of box sets, what is going on here? Cthulhu, Punch Evil in the Tentacles. They have a new starter set for this game coming out. So if you're a fan of Modifius and 2D20 and Cthulhu, you may or may not have this game. Starter sets are interesting because sometimes, like I know with Free League, buy the starter set, you've got all the rules. Typically, like it's it. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need the big hardcore book. As a matter of fact, I know I've seen game masters run Free League stuff from the starter set at cons. They just bring the booklet with them. They don't need all the other rest of the material. So I would imagine, hopefully, this is something similar to this product here, and they're great. So there you go. Looks like got some pogs in there. They call them pogs. Tyler says, I just can't grasp 2D20 and I want to love their games. What games have you played of 2D20, Tyler? Have you played any? Which ones? It's curious. Curious minds want to know. Conan? Did you play with Gabe? Probably not. I'm guessing not. Gabe is a 2D20 Conan guy. Oh, you're going to try Fallout. Interesting. Okay. All right, see you, Flint. All right, so there you go. It looks like a good starter set. I don't, yeah. You get 6 pre-generated characters to play straight out of the box, 6 huge maps with over 100 tokens to run battles and encounters, quick reference sheets to help players master the rules, and limited edition Elder Sign dice set. Sometimes you get, like, the starter set, and like, if you were to buy the dice separately, it would be half the cost. See you, Todd. Something I said? Did I say something? Like everybody's leaving. Bye. You said 2D20, I'm out. Bye. Oh, yeah, something's come up. No, I'm just kidding, guys. See you guys later. Have a good weekend. Charlotte Fallout should be fun and easier to grasp. And with the new show coming, hey. Todd works hard for his money. So you better treat him right. This is what you're saying, Fraser. All right. So that is all I have for, like, RPG stuff. What shall we talk about next? Print. I remember buying a bunch of Star Wars box sets because it was cheaper than buying the dice alone. Yeah, they're good too because you get, a scenario, pre-gens, kind of a decent map. I got them all. I think those were like one of the last things I bought for each version of FFG. And the dice, like, is definitely can never have too many proprietary dice for certain games. All right. Print in the new news. Did I put the Achtung Cthulhu link in there? I did not. I will have to do that, or Ryan West will get mad. There you go. Moving on. EN World, no affiliation with EN World, 0. They're just a website. Go over there, click on a bunch of ads. Let's see. So, what's up? Arkham, Call of Cthulhu Arkham, hardcover supplement for $60. So if you're a Call of Cthulhu fan, something to check out. Have one in the library. It's quiet little town in New England, home to the prestigious Miskatonic University, hides criminals, speakeasies, and a witch-cursed history. 290 locations detailed across 9 neighborhoods, gossip and rumors to use as scenario seeds. Over 80 fully detailed NPCs with their own secrets to discover. Sounds like where I grew up. Excuse me. Remnants of the plague. Traveler adventure class ships. There you go, Traveler fans. 2,000. These vessels, 2,000 tons or less, are the mainstay of Traveler. So they have adventure class ships and small craft catalog. Book gives you 60 new ships in this class to be used by travelers, pirates, traders, and government forces and corporations. On both, actually. This one is Hard Times on Hargard, New Frontiers, Spacecraft Deck Plans, Life, Wheel, and Ammo Box, Explorer's Gear, Equipment Card Set, and New Frontiers Play Kit by Ulysses Spieler. Fading Suns. This is all for Fading Suns. Any Fading Suns fans? Anyone own Fading Suns but never played? Yeah. Seems like there's a new Traveler book every 2 weeks. For sure. Like, they just crank those things out, right? Blake says trying to catch up with Cthulhu. Hey, Matt, good to see you. Fading Suns, there you go. Next, Stu Horvath from Vintage RPG. How many people have the monsters, aliens, and holes in the ground? I've heard good things about it. I have not gotten it. I should go out and pick it up. So Stu, if you've ever listened to Vintage RPG podcast, great show. It's like 35 minutes long. It's not very, very long. And Stu is the guy that does all the research and knows all about the hobby and some of the old games and some of those details. And so he came out with Monsters, Aliens, and Holes in the Ground. I don't even think he kickstarted. I think he just published it. And he works in publishing, right? He's like an editor-in-chief for a periodical, I think. Orcus Dorcas says, I do. It's a cool book. There you go. Put that review up there on Amazon. Not good if you're a collector, though. It's more of a large shopping list. Ooh. I have given Stu's book as a gift, but do not own a copy. Same with Justin Alexander's GM guide. Interesting. So anyways, he also has experience points, which is the lost chapters from Monsters, Aliens, and Holes in the Ground. And that's $15, which I imagine is probably a little bit smaller than the main book, Monsters, Aliens, and Holes in the Ground, which retails at $50. So there you go. Terrence is not stupid. Says Fading Suns has interesting ideas, but the setting ultimately turns me off. I like my sci-fi a little less bleak. Gotcha. Dragonbane Monster Standee set by Free League. And then they have the Dragonbane Standee bases separately. Oh, man. Anyways, I'm sure it has to do with like how it's packaged or not packaged. I don't know. Anyways, the standee set is $25, and then the stands are $2. 64 cardboard standees of fantastic creatures from chimeras to fairies to frog people. There you go. It's BS. All right, Free League. Come on. I'll even say, come on. Put them together. My guess is that, like, get them printed there, get the bases over there. Getting them together is going to be a cost. It's probably why. What I don't know. Sounds like I am defending Free League. I don't know. If it were any other company, I'd be like, that's dumb, that's stupid. Being self-aware is, what can I say? Next, black pudding. How come you taste so good? Wow! Black Pudding number 8 by Random Order Creations, OSR. Softcover supplement for $6.49. Includes rotting monsters, overpowered swords, puzzling spells, tanks, and a bunch of character classes, machine gun wizards. What? Fighting wombats. Huh? Chomping goons and feral knights. What? And then Raslam Asylum for castles and crusades. You could either get it for CNC or 5e by Necromancer Games. Softcover adventure, $25. Fantasy horror adventure for 4 to 6 PCs is level 6 to 10. Set in Raslam Asylum, the adventure includes equal amounts of combat, problem solving, and role playing. Named after Dr. Dmitry Raslam, the asylum proved successful at first, and goodly rulers of neighboring lands used its services as an alternative to brutal execution practices and expensive incarceration. Despite past successes, the asylum is currently in a state of utter chaos, and it's PC's job to find out exactly what is happening. There you go. Okay, Sean, the Free League apologist. Yeah, so. And. Oh, Orcus Dorcas, favorite class, wizard. Favorite weapon, machine gun. Yeah, baby. Bard howitzer. All right. So there's the print. I did think I put the link in there, right? Did I? I don't know. Sometimes I do it at the beginning of the segment. Sometimes I put it at the end. This time I'll put it at the end. There you go. Let's see. Crowdfunding. Whoops. What? Let's do this the right way. No, you didn't do the intro. There. Crowdfunding. Interesting. Wanted to put this out there. Kickstarter fees. Comprehensive guide for creators. For those of you that have done Kickstarters, for those of you that have done crowdfunding on Kickstarter, you probably already know these. And if you didn't know them, well, you probably realized them very quickly on your project. For those of you that are interested in doing crowdfunding on Kickstarter, you'll want to know this stuff. And, frankly, as consumers, it's probably not a bad thing to know as well. Then you can know what the creators are facing. And this is put out by and on Kickstarter. So this isn't like some third party that's like, let me tell you, and then kind of spewing this out there. So it's probably an attempt for Kickstarter to say, first of all, transparency, and two, like if you're going to do something on our platform, this is what you're looking at. So make sure you adjust accordingly, because if you don't, then your Kickstarter will fail, and we don't want that to happen. Fraser says, boom, always remember the fees. Blake says, if I recall correctly, it was 5%. So pledges, okay. I'm not going to go into all these, but just some high level. If a project successfully funded, Kickstarter collects a 5% fee from the funds collected. So that is also something to know. It doesn't say total from the funds collected, that would be a positive thing, right? Like it's not, hey, your Kickstarter did $2 million, but you only collected $1 million, but we're going to charge you 5% on the $2 million. Right? And Fraser knows the deal. And there are processing fees which aren't Kickstarter specifically, but through them. Right? So they use Stripe. Their payments processor will also collect a payment processing fee of roughly 3 to 5%. The complete breakdowns are available here, and there's a link. I'll put a link to this article as well, obviously. Pledges under $10 have a discounted micro pledge fee of 5% plus a nickel US per pledge. A nickel in our world is 5 cents. If a project does not reach its funding goals, no fees are collected. This is why we did it. This is the reason we do it this way. Additional costs outside of Kickstarter, right? Staff and fulfillment costs can vary. And so I think like the rest is kind of outside their purview, I think, right? They're just saying, hey, some of the additional costs that you might want to check out is additional fees creators should also consider prior launching their creative idea, like staff and fulfillment costs, taxes. They also have 6 essential tax tips for crowdfunders and have it linked there. Marketing, rewards. So that's it. Like it's pretty cut and dry. And I think also what they wanted to do is probably put this out to say, like, we don't have this long, very complicated algorithm that you have to kind of decipher on how we charge you. And also there may be rumors out there that, they charge you this or that. And so by putting this out there, they're like, let's just set the record straight, put it out there, and everybody can absorb it. take it in. So there's a link. There you go. Good luck. Next, the Haltestelle Kickstarter, Sundered Isles. This thing's at 15,000 and moving as we just brought it up. They got 19 days to go as of this recording being on the 16th of March, or as I like to refer to it as St. Patrick's Eve. So Sundered Isles, this is by Tompkin Press, the same individual and organization behind Ironsworn and Starforged. I have to admit, I have Starforged, kind of paged at the beginning, but a lot of people that have looked at it have really given it some good reviews or props. So this would be a perfect example of how that's probably transferred and helped him exceed their $12,000 goal at 115. 19 days to go. This thing might hit. What do you think? 150? It's got to be more than 150, right? Maybe 175? Not bad. Anybody get in on this? Reading Aid says, for Sundered Isles, you get the PDF 2 weeks after the campaign ends. Oh, and that's a good point. So this thing is, if you kick it, say you get a print, we'll go to the print version, right? So 2 weeks, good to know, right? Per Reading Aid. So literally says PDF expected delivery April 2024. If you get the print version, estimated delivery November of this year. Serious though, November this year it says. Okay, just I laugh because sometimes you have to specify what year. All right, that's awesome. He also mentions no doodad stretch goals because they will delay getting the book to you. Wow. There, look at that. I believe it's Sean, right? Sean Tompkin. Right. So good. Yeah. Like just give the people what they want. All right. Next, I just threw that out there because it came across my radar, and I know it's a pretty good. He's put out a couple good games. That's why. And so another one. This one's kind of blown up as well, I think. I don't know. Gary Gygax. How do you say that guy's name? World Builders Archive. Level up your setting. The World Builders Toolkits will supplement your creative process and help you build stunning fantasy worlds. So $25,000 goal. This is being put out by Stephen Chenal. If you're not familiar with Stephen Chenal, he is the guy behind Trollord Games. So Trollord Games is essentially putting this out. And Trollord Games has their own print. They are their own printer, like in case you didn't know. So I think they print like everything that they put out themselves. They print and they are in Arkansas. So, something to be said about that. Anyways, so it's at 196,000, over 100, like 196 and a half and more of a $25,000 goal. It's got 755 backers and 25 days to go. So yeah, estimated delivery. I'm going to start putting that out there now if I know it, right? Estimated delivery. So you get to choose and build. So you could get one print book and PDF plus one other, I think. And that's like $50. Estimated delivery June 2025. So when this gets done, if you want a print version, you have to wait till next year to get it. there's quite a few here. So the Complete 7, it's a 7-book series apparently. And if you want PDF only, it's going to run you $110 for all 7 PDF versions. That is expected June of 2025 as well. Would have been nice to get the PDF sooner, but okay. Maybe it's just easier to manage. And then, of course, if you want the Complete 7-book set print, it's 250 bones, June 2025, expected delivery. Jerry Jijax, yes. I think that's what it is, right? Jerry Jijax. All right, so there you go. I think, is Luke's also public? Like the one Luke is doing, Gaxworks, that's like he's hit all the YouTubers up to like advertise for. Oh, Guys and Gax. Look at this, the first one on the list. So Ian World's list of crowdfunders. These are usually, as I've mentioned in previous streams, when they list these, they're usually in their last week on the crowdfunding campaign. So first up, Tomb of Gyzen Jax. There's going to be somebody come on here and they're going to rage. See you, Laramie. Tomb of Gyzen Jax, adventure and campaign setting from Gooey Cube and Luke Gygax, a.k.a. Gaxworks. This is for 5th edition and OSE. 200 bones is the most popular pledge for shipping and handling of PDF and print versions of both books and box set. Gives you a bunch of details. So one of the interesting things is there is a list out there, I think, and it actually states it here. NPCs ranging from Larry Elmore to Peter Atkinson to Errol Otis to Helen Cook to David Zeb Cook and more. It's a great touch to meet the legends on your gaming table. Look at this thing, like 445K essentially at a 25K goal. It's got 1 week to go. It'll probably maybe hit 450. So yeah. Jesse, you back this one? Not at $200. See you, Tad. Thanks for stopping by. And then, of course, we just went over Troll Lord Games', so that's ending soon. Oh, it's got 3. They listed it at 3 weeks to go. 3 weeks to go. Huh. Interesting. Okay, well, there you go. Gods of the Forbidden North by Volume 2 from Pulp Hammock Press. It's $29 and an OSE advanced fantasy adventure. Hexcrawl Mega Dungeon by Robert Alderman and other great creators. $88,000 of a $20,000 goal. 1 week to go. Next one, our Brilliant Ruin role-playing game from Studio Hermitage. The original system, core rulebook, $50. Elitist society and upstairs downstairs drama brought low by existential horror like Downton Abbey meets Mythos. Monsters and courting, horror and station, all blended in an Edwardian era-like setting filled with terrors and manners. Terrors and manners. One I know of and the other I don't. It's not set in our world, but in a fully realized universe where the end is coming, but the forms must be observed until then. Interesting. 35K funded. It's got 1 week to go. Next one is Warengard, a dragon riding TTRPG. It's on backer kit. Unique system that blends aspects of belonging outside belonging games, such as Wanderhome with the Fate Accelerated System by Evil Hat. It's a core rulebook. Is it funded? Well, let's go check her out. 15K of a 5K goal. It's got 9 days. So check that out if you are so interested. Arcforge, a universe of sci-fi adventure, chaos, and corruption by Legendary Games. Man, those guys crank out some stuff. Pathfinder first edition. So, yeah, if you want some sci-fi in your Pathfinder first edition, man, it adds 2 collections totaling over 600 pages. The Arcforge Player's Compendium and Arcforge Universe Cyclopedia. $49 for the PDF of both books. It's funded at $17K. And then Level Up, Planestrider's Journal for Level Up, A5E, and D&D 5E. This is Ian World's house game that they've put out. That's funded at 57,000 quid of a 5,000 quid goal. Got 2 weeks to go. You know, it's always interesting. I think it's almost safe to say that whenever, like, Ian World publishes this area of their website, and if they have a Kickstarter or a crowdfunder for Advanced 5th Edition, which is theirs for under their house publishing, EM Publishing, they always, I think it's pretty safe to say they always put it at last, which they could always put at the beginning. So I don't know. Maybe it's just coincidence. Maybe it's just the timing, but I think that's, if they do that, that's kind of cool. They put everybody else above it. Certainly doesn't help. They still get funded all the time. So I don't know. There you go. I put all the crowdfunding things in there. I did, I think. So do I still have Jinx's comment highlighted? Sorry, Terrence. Caverna. Don't you know this guy is? He's created a cult called RPG. Their goal is to bring kids to worship demons and sacrifice babies. Most campaigns seem overpriced these days. Well, see ya, Fraser. Good to see you, man. All right. So Gamehole Con's housing portal opened yesterday. If you're not going to Gamehole Con, irrelevant to you. But I am reading Deathmatch Island currently, just kind of going through it. So if you're not familiar with Deathmatch Island, well, I'll bring it up. So it's a RPG that is being put out by Evil Hat. Was kickstarted. They're working on it. They're getting it printed in proofs. I think expected delivery is like June, if I'm not mistaken. And Evil Hat, man, they run a tight ship on crowdfunding campaigns. So I got in on it. It looked kind of cool. It's an interesting one. It's inspired by like Running Man, Survivor, Amazing Race, and it the trade dress is really, I was like, what? Look at that. So I'm reading the rules and I'm going to run this at Gamehole Con. Like at first I'm like, I wonder if I should run this at Gamehole Con. Then I started reading and I'm like, I'm going to run this at Gamehole Con. So, but the trick thing is I think I got to run it beforehand, right? We got to kind of run a play test and see how it goes. So maybe locally. This is what it looks like. I got the early PDFs. I probably will run on book, Gabe. Well, so here's the thing with Deathmatch Island is like a adventure, if you will, is kind of slotted for 3 to 4 hours. Perfect for a con game. A campaign is like 3 islands. So, but as you play one, the second one is more dangerous. Like there's tweaks to, how do I put it? Like it's like the difficulty level is probably the easiest to kind of sum it up is like the first island is here. The second island is like, difficulty cranked up a notch. And then the last one is difficulty cranked up another couple notches. And of course that's because your characters will probably gain some benefits over time, but it's interesting. Like so it's taken off of the Argon system. I could, Tim, that's good. Can you put in the chat when Forge Midwest is please. So also plug for Forge Midwest if you're interested. I think it's usually in April, but hopefully Tim will put it in there. Good to see you, Tim, by the way. I'm hoping, because they still have the page numbers X'd in the references, so I'm sure there's maybe some tweaks to the layout. I'm hoping, I'm going to probably tweet at Evil Hat and go, hey, you guys are getting this printed. Aren't the PDFs finalized then? Can we get those? Or they're finalized and I just didn't get the next version downloaded from drive-thru, because I think that's where they're managing PDF fulfillment. Anyways, it is taken the rules from the Argon game, right? So Argon was from Blades in the Dark, Mr. Harper's game. So it is interesting where you have a profession or I think, see, I'm going to get all the terms wrong. Basically, you wake up on a boat. You don't know how you got there, and they're going to put you on an island, and you have to you got to survive it. So some people would say, as a role-playing game, I don't know. It's so here we go. Here we go. Forge Midwest 2024 is April 5th to the 7th at the Clarion Suites by the Align Energy Center. I'm glad to know that Aegon. Sorry. Thanks, Aragon. Aegon, not Argon. Aegon. Thank you. Anyways, if you are in the area or interested in quite a bit of independently published RPGs, I cannot recommend Forge Midwest enough. It's very loose. Like, here's the venue. They have certain calls for games. It's very, not to misrepresent Tim and the crew over at Forge Midwest, but it's very much games on demand kind of type of format. So I have Aegon. The Aegani. So you roll dice. You have certain things, right? Like, actually, let me see if I can find the page. It's not really here. Squid Game, Battle Royale, Deathloop, Survivor. Here, I'm gonna put a link to the website. I like the URL too, by the way. Here it is. How it plays. So you have competitor players and then the production player. The production player, Game Master, right? And you roll. So player one rolls. Oh, how am I going to explain this? I'm so bad at this. One, I got to have it sink in. But essentially what happens is you roll some kind of a dice pool, and it's all die types, D4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And they're assigned to certain things on your character sheet. And when those things apply to the situation, you roll that die, and then maybe another one. There is also, so you roll those, and then you take the highest one. Okay. And then you may have an artifact or something that might help you, and you might have something else. And so you can, and that's usually a D4, and there may be multiples. You roll that die pool of D4s, take the highest one. You add the two highest dice together, and that's your result. And if it meets or beats the target number, you succeed. The game master or the production player does the same. So it's basically the same. Like, I get my little die pool, roll it. This is the top one. Roll anything else. Top one, add them. Okay. So the production play, it's, that's, yes, rolls 1D, 118. No. Anyways, so that's kind of the gist of the mechanics at the core level. And what you do is there's a few different phases that take place. And when you attempt to do something, you roll what goes into that. And once the outcome comes, you're going to have the best outcome. A player will be the best, whoever rolls the highest outcome. There will be successes, and then there will be failures. So and there's an order. The next thing is that they go like, here it is. And then you go into confessionals. And confessionals tell how it happened. So, and the narration goes from lowest to highest. So there's always a sense of building momentum. So it's like the failures do their confessional, then the successors, and then the best player, participant narrates. And in there, if you have failure, if the production player acts like like a sportscaster in narrating some of the things in between, right? The failures and things of that nature. So I see the connection to Aegon now as Aegon is a competitive RPG. See ya, Jesse. So there is literally 2 pages or a few pages that say, if you're familiar with Aegon, read this, and it'll tell you the differences between Aegon and Deathmatch Island. I didn't have to because I never read Aegon. So here's kind of look at this thing. They kind of flow this out and explain how the flow works. 3 islands, phase 1, phase 2, flashbacks, end of game. And in phase 2, there are certain things you can't do that you could do in phase 1. For example, I think like with phase 1, you can take not stress. Is it stress? Something along those lines. And if you run out of stress, you take an injury. In phase 2, you don't take stress. It just is automatically to injury. So it gets a little bit more dangerous. And so it's pretty funny. You roll on like what outfits the group is wearing. There's a couple random tables that you can, there's a first name and a surname random table for your characters. There's not a lot to the character sheet, which it might have a kind of a screenshot on here. But it'll make a good convention game, I think. And you can obviously ally with opposition, and yeah, there's flashbacks. I haven't gotten that far, but I'm reading phase 2 right now, which is a battle royale, and it lasts until a fraction of the competitors are left alive. Then a klaxon sounds, and these survivors progress to the next island. And then it says phase 2 is where the conflicts and tensions from phase 1 explode as the factions and alliances go head-to-head in the cinematic finale. So it's pretty interesting because you could see kind of the reality TV pieces being brought into the game, which goes to system matters, I guess, right? This is like, what are you trying to facilitate in this game? We're trying to facilitate a TV show, Deathmatch, Running Man, Squid Game environment. How do you do that? Well, you roll, and this is how the mechanics and resolution works, and then you have a confessional. So you're talking to the camera, narrating kind of as okay, you'd already played the game, and now you're being pulled out to narrate what had happened and occurred. As Tim says, Deathmatch Island is basically Aegon crossed with Squid Game. Annie Hall, with Kickstarters, did we mention that Fraser Ronald's Nefertiti Overdrive funded recently? Yes, it did. Good point, Andy. Yes. Congratulations, Fraser. Aegon is great. You should try it. So I want to do this up. Like if it's supposed to be delivered by June, I can't imagine even Evil Hat dropping the ball on this thing. And it's going to look like a frickin' IBM technical manual. And I got like all the printed maps and like everything. And I'll throw that on the table. I might bring a microphone. And maybe even if it would be cool to like give everybody a shirt, right? Like, here's your uniform, there's a little cost to that. Like, I don't know if I want to spring out $150 for shirts for a game. And I would want the players to keep them, right? Like, here you go, you can keep them. So you're all dressed in the same uniform. Yeah, this is a game with a tightly focused premise with presentation, and whether you want to discover eerie secrets or compete to survive, you'll find something here to enjoy. It's about trust and teamwork and capitalism and solidarity in a big, weird conspiracy. Play to win. And the side margins are hilarious. Like, they're they're so good. It's really trying to capture the feel of the game. Do headbands? Oh, that's not a bad idea. There is also something like, I cannot remember, their watch or a signal that comes on their watch. And I was thinking like wristbands, and then, something along those lines. There's a couple mechanical things where I'm like, how would I be able to facilitate that at the table? That would be kind of cool. Headbands are bad. Wristbands would be good for like watches or things. So it says a game about exploring strange islands, wearing matching tracksuits, dodging gunshots as you scavenge weapons and gear from an abandoned fishing village, wrestling with another competitor on a huge climbing frame with explosive landmines buried below, having flashbacks to a surprising past that has serious ramifications on the present, crashing through a chain link fence in a stolen production van to investigate a restricted office compound, leaping over a volcano's caldera on a motorcycle to get to the gift-wrapped loot crate before the police officer's team does, approaching the sphere and learning that you've done this all before. Dude, this will be a great con game. It'll be a good con game. So I'm excited. The question is, so could I why is that on there? I keep forgetting to click off. The question is whether I do it as the series, like a true tournament, like round 1 Thursday, and then another round 1 on Thursday, round 2 on Friday, and then round 3 on Saturday. And characters die. So there is have some character generation. I think is pretty quick. So it's like always have a few left. I haven't decided whether I'll do character generation at the table or not. And the only reason is because sometimes it's going to here, reference this in the book, but I only have 1 copy. Go full 70s. Yeah. Smash TV mixed with Squid Game and Lost, Running Man. Hell yeah. Right. It's pretty cool. And I think I'll have fun running it. Yeah. It's an interesting game. I was on the fence, I don't know, Amazing Race, Survivor, game for an RPG seems very tactical from the 100-foot view. But if you incorporate the confessional, this would be a cool actual play, because then you could just put lower thirds in, record it, It could be the announcer. Well, I would love to dress up super 70s, who would I'd love? Rayburn. What's his name? The guy who did Match Game, right? The host of Match Game. Original Match Game. Gene Rayburn. I would love to dress up like Gene Rayburn. If you don't know who Gene Rayburn is, I'll show you. Why is my browser always come on, man? It's Chrome, I tell you. Gene Rayburn. And then, of course, every once in a while, I get a tab that just sticks and won't do anything after it loads. So if you don't know Gene Rayburn, where is a good size? That's not even it. Let me see if I can open this in a new tab. So that's Gene Rayburn. I would love to get the super matted down and then parted to the side, obnoxious tweed, like Herb Tarlick, like sports coat, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? And then his microphone. So I don't know if you've ever seen his microphone. The thing is like 2 feet long and it's got a little button at the top. I don't know back in the day if they just put like what would be equivalent to a modern day lavalier mic and just stuck it on an end of a long stick. It would be hilarious. It would be fun. Yes. Yes, I might have to grow a mustache for this con game. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to run at least one session. I think it just may be one and done. I don't know if I'm going to do a full tournament, all right, we've got our players. They're on island number 3. We're on the 3rd day of, I don't want to call it Deathmatch Island, right? Or maybe it is. I don't know. Like, do you call it some weird game show and you just use the Deathmatch Island stuff? You have to find the intro of the dating game to play when the session starts. Sideburns, yes. See, this is why I need you guys. You guys are awesome. That extra long microphone would also double as a great pointer for the maps and such. Yes. So super thin 70s mic. Awesome. Yeah, man. So I'd just get my hair and just grease it really down and like put it down. Like it would, this wouldn't be far from like what it would look like, right? Like it would be, and it's funny you mentioned who mentioned the sound, the audio, the intro to the dating game, right? Well, even the match game sound, like you could say, okay, you guys, because they have to think about, and there's also an interesting component about the leader. So the leader, I think in the first, so there's kind of encounters along the island, obviously. And when you do the first encounter, whoever comes out like on top is the default leader for the next thing. And what they say kind of goes, like if they come across material, they dole it out. They can keep it, they make the calls. Now, a decent leader would probably converse with the rest of the group. They don't have to. Like, so there's a mechanic piece to that. Like the leader, it's kind of like the caller in D&D, right? But turn it up to like 10. And then because it's kind of to mimic like they succeeded. It's supposed to be the person who succeeded on the last test is the leader for the next one because they're kind of like, I got this, right? But if another person on the next kind of obstacle becomes the leader, then they get to choose the next place they go to and things of that nature, and who gets loot and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting that way. But as they think about things, it would be interesting to play the match game. And then Gene would always repeat the question as they're writing down their answers, right? So, and it's so 70s, like, anyways. Yeah, I should even put that in the description, like 70s attire, like welcome, bring on your whatever, 70s attire, I don't know, big wide ties and you have, each person has a profession. So and then with your profession comes one of the things, right? And so if you roll and that is the higher die, then you kind of narrate how your profession or what you did played into overcoming the challenge. So it's kind of like, what did you use to overcome the challenge? And then inject that into the narrative. Oh man, Ryan West says, I found a Bob Barker mic on Amazon for $24. I think that's doable. I should set like a budget aside and just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. The clothes and the wig and the look might be the toughest, right? Like Some of those vintage clothes are no joke, man. People are like selling those things on eBay for top dollar. Plus, they don't fit. Like, I think everybody back in the 70s and 80s were so, like, I don't know if we just didn't have the amount of carbs and sugar in our diet at that point, but man, there were a lot of skinny people back then, and an extra large shirt is not an extra large shirt today. For the Canadians in the house, I'm thinking of Jim Perry, the host of Definition. There you go. Some translation that appreciate it here again. Let's Make a Deal theme with Monty Hall. Monty Hall's a good one, right? They all look like there's a... Yes, Monty Hall. That's the haircut I want. Gene looked like it too, right? Oh, no. Come on. Just give me the photograph. Oh, shoot. I wonder if I... Here it is. Here. Monty Hall. That's the coat. That's the jacket I want. That's the hair. And look at those sideburns. Like, bingo. Deathmatch Island. Coming to Gamehole Con. Shambot says, I'm all for this. This is pure gold, Sean. The music, the host attire. You could even put in some ads. Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. But it's going to have to be a 4-hour game, man. I don't know. I gotta, how am I going to fit all this in? Totally camp it up. Yeah, man. Brought to you by Rice-A-Roni. Hell yeah. San Francisco treat. Coke bottle glasses. Oh, yes. You know, I wanted those too, but I would probably, I'm going to see. Because, you know, the thing is with glasses, if I can just I'll get frames. I don't need my glasses. Maybe I will. But the big hairy carry glasses would be awesome. Or the wire rims, just the big wire rim glasses with no lenses. Yes, dude. Yes, totally. And be sure to pick up the home game. Yes, the home version. There you go. And he knows Jim Perry. Can you get Brett in a dress to co-host? Tell them what they won, Brett. He could be the voice, right? He could be, who was the big voice guy back then? Who's the guy for Price is Right? Yeah, it would be great to do a fun actual play on this. Cameras, cutting and go, cutting over lower thirds. The character's name. Just got their ass handed to them, and then they're narrating what happened. Yes, Jerry Spiegelman, you're the next contestant, which is also a good point. So when they die, you just throw them another character. I think it's supposed to happen, but I don't know. So they keep going. Anyways, Team Deathmatch, because I'm like, I should probably read this. It might have some legs for a con game, and yeah, for sure. For Don Pardo. Terrence is stupid says, tell them what they won, Don. I got to get some old scripts. I should be able to do that with ChatGPT, right? Oh, sorry. I think we are making a new game. Where's the Kickstarter help site, right? It's going to be fun. It'll be fun. 4 players, though. I think it says run best with 4 players. So I think I got to run it a couple times. And I may just run that game. Like twice a day, at least once a day maybe. Because I'd like to play a couple as well. So we'll see. And it's always better to it's more efficient to run one game multiple times than to run multiple games. Sold. I'll buy it. Why do I even show up here Saturday? I already checked, and a lot of my buys are on Saturday. I don't know what you're talking about. So yes, that will be. I'm gonna try to get that on the. I'm gonna try to get that like to be one of the first submissions to Gamehole Con on April. I think April is their event submission opens up. I don't think submitting number to be number one is all that. I don't know. You don't get any special consideration, but I will need to play test it. Definitely. So thank you, Tim. Good suggestion. Forge Midwest. I'm hoping that I have everything because then I could put it all on the table and it'd be great. I think I may. I wonder if that grenade is like part of it. I can't remember what was all involved. That grenade is awesome. This thing. Reading the results one at a time resulted in a huge cheer after the second break the game vote was read. We cheer at good dice rolls, but not like this. I wish there were more RPGs that had more moments like this baked into the rules. Because it's like, these guys are going to die in the end. Like at the end, the last like phase is Deathmatch. So it's inevitable that there will be characters that die. But it's all levity. Like, it's like, let's see what happens, Holy cow, this, the other group, whatever team, whatever, came out of nowhere. Oh, took a shot to the head. Yeah, that's going to hurt. Looks like the participants are down one player. Back to you, Stu. I'll have to find my game show host my game show host persona and voice. Well, anyways, we're a little over time. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. I figure I'd throw that out there. Thanks to everybody here that has helped me each and every month a few dollars here and there out of pocket. I really appreciate it, especially when you could certainly spend it somewhere else. But thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. Play some games, spend time with people that you love. I don't know what else to say. Be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby. I'll stream here again next week, 8 a.m. Actually, if I'm at GaryCon, that might be a hitch. So stay tuned. I may forego. Who knows? I don't know. Or I can go after the stream. I will post an update here on the YouTubes if something changes. But yeah, I'd buy that for $1, Tim says. Thanks, Ryan. So thank you, everybody that joined. Everybody that joined and contributed and corrected me and partaken in the question du jour, if you will. It's good to see everybody's titles and handles and interaction in the chat. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. I'll see you next weekend as it's planned currently right now, just so you know. Otherwise, see ya.